You bet it does. Welcome in to Thursday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Did you have a fine afternoon? Well, if you're listening to this show and you listen to this show regularly, it probably means you're a Mizzou fan, which I can guess means that the afternoon could have been better. It could have been a little better, Brendan.
Could have been better.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Maybe 7 points better,
Yeah.
Something like that. Would have been nice. But
just getting credit for all their points would have been good. Yeah, I want to talk about the goaltending. I want to talk about the goaltending.
No doubt. Golly. Yes, there will be some under the bus time set aside for that. Don't you worry. That'll be coming up.
Ain't no party like a Pat Adams party, I tell you.
Oh, man. Bring your television screens. Let's talk about Mizzou. What happens now? They might be sweating out Selection Sunday a little bit. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll also talk about Miami, Ohio may be sweating out Selection Sunday themselves after their game today. Chiefs sign a cornerback. Team USA is saved by Italy and Vinny Pasquantino. Lots to get to today. Let's roll.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
It's yet another opportunity that Mizzou had that they let kind of slip away a little bit, especially when they're making the comeback attempt. And Mark Mitchell is getting his second consecutive 32-point game. You really feel for that guy because he's doing his job to put Mizzou on his back, but they could not get the win in their first SEC tournament game against Kentucky. The Wildcats prevail 78-72. Tigers made a valiant effort. They were down by as many as 16 in the second half and then took the lead with under 3 minutes to go. But Kentucky executed down the stretch and Mizzou didn't. And so now Mizzou, who is on the line of last four buys and last four in of Joe and Artie, kind of back and forth within the last 24 hours, amazingly, now is going to have to wait and see what the selection committee thinks about their NCAA tournament resume. That is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 12th day of March, 2026. Give us a call or text at 875-KTGR. Through all of that, Brendan, which we'll get to in a bit, I think they're still in. But, that's not what you should have thought about in a game like this because Mizzou had every opportunity to go down the stretch and finish the job when they were down 16. And you thought, look, they've broken through, all right? Teams usually don't get over the hump when they make these comebacks. Mizzou had gotten over the hump. But then they allow a 9-2 run. And I honestly tip my cap in that instance to Kentucky for how they handled it down the stretch. They made the shots, late clock situations. That's when you just ask your best players to go and take control, and they did. And Mizzou's players had one guy that could do it, but you need more in those.
Yeah, and even that one guy, I think I credit Kentucky. I think Missouri was outcoached in some regards. I don't have some major qualms with Dennis Gates. We can talk about maybe a couple of things that I wondered about. But one thing I want to give credit for is Kentucky did their homework and a couple of times in this game caught Mark Mitchell in the spin move that he likes to go to and just timed it up perfectly when you bring that second defender in after his eyes are kind of off of the area. And that's how they end up getting the big steal. It's not credited as a steal, but Mark Mitchell, the ball goes out of bounds off of his leg when Mizzou had the ball down 3. That possession goes differently. Maybe it's a different outcome to the game, but I feel like that's coaching that you credit Kentucky for because they kind of had a plan to say, we're not going to stop Mark Mitchell every time. He had 32 on us. But in that possession, and there was one other instance where they end up getting a steal because they're looking for that spin move, and they come in, bring the help defense, and they were able to get the ball away from Mitchell, and unfortunately it just bangs out of bounds off of him instead of off of a Kentucky defender. But yeah, I mean, you just didn't have enough help out there for Mark Mitchell on the whole in this game. So that's really what it boils down to for me. That was kind of the concern yesterday when we talked about this game. I said it would be close, but I worried that if Mark Mitchell couldn't go for 32, you wouldn't have enough ancillary scoring. Well, he went for 32,
yeah,
and they still, I think, didn't have enough help for him.
Yeah, because you expected Trent Pierce to hit maybe one or two more shots, Jaden Stone to hit one or two more, T.O. Barrett to finish at the rim a couple more times than he did. Like, if you get those, then you're right in this, and you probably win this game. And look, that's the frustrating part of it. I do think it is at least a little bit heartening for Mizzou that they didn't fold in this situation. They climbed back, and they were able to push Kentucky all the way to the point where they were ahead of them with 2.5 minutes to go and force them to be the better team. Which I think today they were. And you just, okay, fine. You move on from that, and you say, like, okay, we had a chance, but they've got a few more talented guys, and when they make the plays that they're expected to make, usually teams are going to have to deal with that. And Mizzou just didn't start well enough to push a team on their heels like Kentucky needs to be pushed early on in a game. That's really where they lost this one.
They played a bad first half.
Yeah.
I mean, and early in the second half, there were some things. T.O. Barrett has regressed. I mean, he does some of the awesome things still when it comes to driving, but
has he regressed, or is he still just a first-time starter?
Yeah, that could be.
There's
an argument to be made that we anointed him too quickly because we see the upside in what he does when he's doing things well, but the rawness to his game and just it's like a mystery box sometimes of when he goes to pass the ball, it could go to anybody in the building, anybody within the first 3 rows. It might be you that catches the pass. That was frustrating to see. But then he comes back and does some of the things that he does well. I did think, and I want to ask about Jaden Stone, because I thought Jaden Stone did some things well in the first half. He had 7 rebounds in this game, hardly played in the second half. And I wondered
that's it.
I wondered if, okay, so like, let's try and unpack this. 2 for 5 shooting, so it wasn't like a day where he's shooting the ball a bunch and it's not going well. I thought maybe Dennis Gates looked at how overwhelmed T.O. Barrett was in certain moments of this game and thought, let's get more ball handling on the floor with him. And that maybe explains Anthony Robinson's 29 minutes. And Ant's always on there for defense, and he does a great job of that. But he didn't score a point in 29 minutes, 0 for 4 from the floor. I felt like at some point down the stretch, you maybe get Jaden Stone back into that game. I don't think 20 minutes was enough for him in a game where I did see like the spark from him that you hope to see, that if he plays the full, 30 to 35 minutes that we're used to seeing, that he might have been a guy that could contribute some of that scoring later. It's not like they didn't make a run without him, but I do think that down the stretch, I would have preferred to see him on the floor because I think he's a player that can make a difference in those spots.
Here's my theory. It's just a theory, and it might be way off base, but first of all, Mizzou was absolutely set back and had to adjust maybe what they wanted to do on the fly when Sean Phillips got in foul trouble.
They should probably expect that because he does it every freaking game, and he'll never.
Okay,
change.
so let's unpack that.
We're going to have to.
So the fouls that put him in foul trouble, weak at best. Like that, those should not have been fouls. They shouldn't have been. I thought Sean Phillips was in great position for those. I thought he got very unlucky in those situations. The flagrant foul.
You know that the SEC refs are bad. Well, let's start with just the 3 fouls because he gets 3 in 9 minutes. I think with your reputation, you're going to be susceptible to ticky-tacky. But if it's ticky-tacky, that's fine. Pause, and now let's review the rest of it. Because
if the flagrant foul that was called on Sean Phillips is a flagrant foul,
anything
cancel
to the face.
Cancel the sport.
Maybe they need to change the language in the rule
Did
about
he even
this.
hit the face? I saw him hit the shoulder, but not the face.
The contact to the face is sort of, they're looking for it. And with Sean Phillips, they're looking for it. I think he puts himself in those situations, and it's disappointing. I don't know that it was the difference in the game, but to have 2 of those incidents where one of them's not even during the course of play.
Yeah, the technical foul. Yeah, he's got to be smart.
It's terrible.
Get away from him.
It's awful.
Yeah,
and he's standing there next to Dennis Gates, and he's upset. He should be upset. That cannot happen. And we talk about all the time with this player that, hey, here's the one thing you can't do. If you avoid this stuff, once he came back into the game, you started to see his impact. He's making dunks. He's showing a little bit of interior presence. Trent Burns is a turnstile. He's got to figure it out if he's going to level up to a player that I want to see on the floor next year. Maybe I anointed him too quickly as well. But he's playing the 5 and he's coming out to the free throw line to pick up a ball handler. I mean, it's just the interior defense. We know Sean Phillips is out of eligibility. Burns is a work in progress. They have got to find him a big, and then next year I think they can still have something special. But yeah, the frustration with Phillips, it's the same every game. He can do some really good things for you when he's on the floor. He can't keep the hand out of the cookie jar. And you might say, well, Brendan, he didn't really put the hand in the cookie jar. I think it was ticky-tacky. He's got the reputation, and now he feeds into it with a technical foul like that. That's really disappointing.
I don't know but if they're in the NCAA tournament and they're not using the same referees that maybe are used to reffing against Sean Phillips a bunch, then it might be more helpful. He might not get in foul trouble the next time Mizzou plays. So
might be the worst league for him because the Southeastern
whatever it
Conference
is,
refs are one of one.
Whatever it might be. But here's the thing. We explored the Sean Phillips aspect of it.
Okay.
I think my theory on Jaden Stone is that, okay, so Phillips can't be on the floor all that much. So we're losing a little bit defensively. And so we need to try and make sure Kentucky can stay out of the paint before they actually get there. And I think that's maybe why Robinson was in more than Stone. That's my theory. I don't know. I don't know if it was asked if Dennis Gates afterwards. We're not in Nashville. We don't know.
Comment about it.
But that's my guess as to why Robinson was out there more, which, okay. But at some point you do need to tap back into Stone and see if he can give you that jolt once again. So I'm still kind of questioning a little bit why only 5 minutes in the second half.
It's scoring, but I swear to you, it's rebounding. I mean, he picks up 7 rebounds in 20 minutes because he's a guard who practices the art of rebounding and cares about it and has instinct to go to the spot. And I feel like that is something that's lost. And you get some moments where those possessions where Kentucky gets a second and a third chance, like those kill you. And I think that resulted in an Ant Robinson foul, which he picked up 4 fouls. Like he's got a tough assignment out there defensively. I'm not going to look at it and say Robinson didn't play decently because he didn't score. We know there are other reasons that he's out there. I just think that was one thing. Like I said, more of the coaching outclass comment was more about Kentucky doing things good than maybe things that Missouri did from a coaching angle that I didn't like. Thought Gates called a good timeout early that kind of got him back into it a little bit in that first half when they were starting to spiral at 14-7. But yeah, this is one where, I don't know, Selection Sunday, I think will tell me how to feel about this one, Andy, because I came in thinking a close loss to Kentucky is not really going to burn you. And they secured a close loss. Like this could have been, I could have come onto this show the way that things were trending and it's down by 16. If you lose by 16, 18 points, and I would have said, you know what, Dayton is kind of what Missouri deserves at best. So I can't even defend it if that's where they get sent and say, well, I'm upset. No, I mean, it's kind of what they deserve. But you play close. You look at the results of their last 3 games. Oklahoma is one of the hottest teams in the country right now, trying to play their way in. I very well think they could beat A&M later on tonight. You know, you lose to Arkansas in the way that they did in overtime, and then you lose this one to Kentucky team that everybody knows is in the field and has a lot of talent. I don't think Missouri should be too punished for that, Andy, but it also may not be up to them. You have Miami of Ohio going down today for the first time all year. Everybody in the sport is talking about, do they belong? And if so, where will they go? Are they a Dayton team or are they safely in the field? You've got a result happening right now in Nashville that if you're a Missouri fan, I think you have to root for Tennessee.
I was just going to go and check. Like Auburn was
tied.
up. Auburn was up double digits at one point. Second half, now they're tied.
Game with 6.5 to go, and I feel like that's dangerous because it has gotten so much attention, the Auburn thing, that if they get a win like Tennessee with everybody watching, I think they're probably going to be in. I don't think it's right, but I think it's what's going to happen. And so you need Tennessee to complete that comeback, I think, if you're a Missouri fan, because the bubble starts to shrink even before we talk about the Atlantic 10 and any other craziness that could happen over the next couple of days.
We want your thoughts, Mizzou fans. Call or text us with your opinions on Mizzou losing to Kentucky today in their first SEC tournament game. 573-875-KTGR as we roll along here. It's just, again, gutting for Mark Mitchell, who's doing not everything, right? I mean, yeah, he turned it over a few times,
Like
but that's
95%.
gonna happen when the other team knows exactly where the ball's going.
Nobody bats 1,000.
Under 2 minutes to go, and yeah, to your point, Brendan, like they can devote the numbers later in the game. They were probably content with like, okay, fine, he can bully in one-on-one with like 8 minutes to go, and Mizzou can climb back. Like, that's okay, but we know what to do with that guy when it gets close, and we're at least in striking distance. We know defensively what to do against this player when nobody else on Mizzou appears to be a threat, and you just can't. You have to emphasize having better spot up options when Mitchell is getting those touches down low, because eventually defenses are going to crash, and you have to have better action around where Mitchell is.
Yeah.
So that you can be better in those late game situations.
Not enough guys moving without the ball and being able to set up some of the things that I think could have given him some spacing. What I felt like watching, and let me know if this is just like, bias or whatever it is, but watching, and it's not just today, there are times where it's like, man, Missouri sure as hell has to work a lot harder for their buckets than the other team sometimes. Like, the way Missouri scores is Mark Mitchell being unbelievable at the sport and taking on, contact, and he doesn't get called, and he's got to make these, circus shots, or it's T.O. Barrett driving the lane and having to do something spectacular. Not enough outside shooting to open up the idea that you could get some easy twos on the interior. I feel like every two is a hard-fought two more often than not, unless they get like an offensive rebound. There were a couple of those where, like, trailing in transition, they came up with a couple of offensive boards, and then they were able to put the layup in very easily. It just seems like there are a lot more difficult ways Missouri has to find a way to just grind out their possessions and get a bucket compared to the opponents sometimes.
Well, in this game in particular, some size that you have to deal with down low, and that was going to eventually come back to you. That's why I thought it was crucial to have also Sean Phillips in these situations on the floor, because when he was out there, he was effective, and Mizzou was better for it. And he got to his spot also with how they entered it to him, and he was able to get past his defender and go in for a dunk. Multiple occasions of that.
Yes.
So, I mean, there are ways that Mizzou was able to make that happen, but it's just when you can't hit from the outside as early as they were maybe needing to in a game like this. Like, eventually they hit a few shots.
Well, I mean,
Stone take all that many. Stone hit his first one, but that was the only one of the first half, I believe, that they hit.
That's been a trend recently, if so.
Yeah, so like they've got to get more of those to fall a little bit sooner, so the defenses react a little bit more, and they think, oh, okay, well, if Mizzou's hitting their shots today, then we got to be a little more ready to close out. And then you can allow that to get more chances for those guys down low.
Though? Because
easy.
they were 5 for 13 from three.
They didn't shoot as much.
They didn't shoot very many threes. Cruz even finally hit one. Pierce was 1 for 4. Had a big one from Pierce that kind of made it feel like this was a real game. Mitchell was 2 for 2. Stone, I mentioned, hit his first. Like, it feels like they got gun shy.
Part of that, yeah, it may be gun shy, or part of that is not being able to get the look every single time. Like, you need to maybe scheme up Trent Pierce 1 or 2 times, or Jacob Cruz or Jaden Stone, some of those guys. And so they're maybe were forced out of their action or their set to try and go with that option from whatever they were trying to create from their offense. And they just say, okay, well, Mitchell's still working. Let's just feed it to him. And he keeps on. And look, they came back in the game because of that. So I'm not going to poo-poo it too much.
No,
but
that's right.
It wasn't balanced enough. It was not balanced enough.
They don't have enough balance. Even when Mark Mitchell's scoring 32, that's almost a concern. Not a concern to have a guy who can score 32, but it's one of those things where is your upside capped? Because eventually there are going to be those possessions that you give away because everybody's keyed on Mitchell, and you're putting him in an unfair position. He's going to turn it over a couple of times because everybody knows what you're going to do with the basketball. And if you don't demonstrate the ability or the willingness to, run your offense in other ways to kind of keep them guessing a little bit, you get a little bit predictable, I feel like. And so Mitchell had 32, but in the key moment of the game when you're down 3 and they say, Mark Mitchell, ISO, go. And then it's like, well, they've seen it enough times that eventually they are going to pick a pocket. I think that's kind of what happened. It's not Mark Mitchell's fault. I think it's just the reality of of where they are, and that the concern over do they have enough ancillary scoring consistently is real. Because you're right, when you were saying scheme it up for XYZ, and I made the joke about Trent Burns, who shot another 3 and missed it. Please never do that again. The names that you're saying go through my head and go, yeah, maybe not him. Yeah, maybe him sometimes. I think it's all of them. All of the shooters or the would-be shooters aren't guys that you feel like that's the way that you want to spend a possession. It almost has to be a plan coming into a game to say, we know it might not be as efficient as just letting Mark Mitchell touch the ball every single time. But to eventually get to a point where you can last 40 minutes this way and win games this way, you have to almost be more committed to that idea of, yep, this might be our third most efficient way to try to have a possession happen, but it's going to be a Trent Pierce 3 from the corner this time, and that's how we're going to scheme it up, and we're going to run that because we need to ultimately develop this and establish this balance, because with 30 seconds left, if we don't, it's going to be pretty clear what we're going to do. I don't know. Maybe that's overthinking it, but it feels like it came into some relevance today.
And look, the percentage for Mizzou as a team didn't look that bad, but if you consider the fact that Mark Mitchell was 2 out of 2 from 3, and everybody else was 3 of 11.
3 for 11. Yep.
So
I'm going to call it 3 for 10 because Burns should never shoot another 3.
Yeah, I mean,
and so I'm not even going to hold that against the rest of the team. He just needs to be told not to do it, and we're continuing to let him do it. 3 for 10. You're right. That's not a great percentage when you take out Mark Mitchell's heroics.
But getting more of those chances, if you can shoot 20 of them and,
but if you shoot 20 of them and make 6, then you say, yep, that's why we lost by 10. So it's a double-edged sword a little bit, because then we'd be talking about Mark Mitchell had 28. Why didn't they feed him more? And it's like, at the end of the day, I just think you got to have more guys than just one that's firing on all cylinders. And usually you can count on Mark Mitchell to be firing, but everybody else, and like, again, the possessions that you lose because of turnovers when you just don't know what Teo Barrett's going to do with the ball right now. Like, there are too many of those that I think are hurting you. And like the refs too. I'm not going to make that game about the refs because I think they were bad both ways. It's Pat Adams' crew. It always goes this way. Dennis, I wonder if he had anything to say, because there were some moments like the goaltend he was hot about for multiple possessions.
Should have been. Yeah, should have been.
So.
Yeah.
And I think it is a bad rule that we can't review whether there was one unless it's called on the floor, because I don't think the instincts of referees is to call it that way. Like, you would almost err on, this is maybe not the way to look at it, but you'd almost err on the side of goaltend so that you can then go back and look at it if you were doing it in a way that I think is equitable.
I don't know how anybody in the gym looking at it live could have thought that it wasn't goaltend the way that it played out, like from the naked eye. Like, it was very obvious.
So if you even have an inkling, you have to call it until they change the rule that you can go back and look at it later. Like, you have to call it. If you have an inkling, call it. I mean, you're Pat Adams, for crying out loud. Just call it. You love to review stuff.
Yeah.
How does that not get
TV time?
Get a call and a look? I just do not understand it. And so, like, that was the one, obviously the one big glaring issue with the refereeing. There was one play on an Anthony Robinson drive that the guy took out a pickaxe and swung it at his arm. I do not understand how that doesn't get called. It does feel like, and I saw a comment, Samuel has been putting a lot of good comments. I agree with just about everything Samuel has said on our YouTube channel. But the level of physicality that Kentucky gets away with versus on the other side, it's like they're looking for the cadence of when a foul gets called on a Kentucky drive. And I felt this in the Arkansas game. I felt this in the Oklahoma game. Like, I just feel like the cadence of when it gets called is the ref looked good. Oh, was there some contact? Foul. Versus a whole hack to the arm on Anthony Robinson just gets ignored. I feel like, again, I'm biased toward Mizzou. I'm a Mizzou fan. But I feel like that happens more often than it should.
By the way, early in the first half, Dennis Gates was trying to challenge an out-of-bounds play, and he got ignored before the ball was inbounded. Yeah. He was twirling the finger like, hey, let's review. And they didn't see it.
I was twirling the finger at home because I thought surely they're going to look at that. Yeah. And then I just kind of forgot about it. The game moves so fast. And that's the thing. Like, maybe I understand why some coaches get all the way out of the, onto the playing surface if they're legally allowed to do challenges and appeals and all sorts of stuff. And all these other coaches seem to get their way. Maybe Dennis Gates just needs to be more of a jerk. Because I think the coaches that get their way on these appeals all the time, I hate their guts, all of them. And Dennis Gates, it seems like he doesn't, he's just too mild-mannered, too nice of a guy. Although if you look at some of those moments in the game, he was hot, and he was rightfully so. But the broadcast is saying, he might be on the exterior, he might be calm right now, but on the inside, he's fired up. I'm thinking, no, he was fired up on the outside.
Yeah.
He was right.
He was
correct.
Yeah.
But that's just that's life in the SEC, baby. I mean, I love everything about Mizzou being in this conference other than their basketball refs, truly. Maybe the football ones too, but the basketball ones, I think. Do we complain more? Which one's worse, the basketball reffing or the football reffing throughout the course of a season?
Well,
what frustrates you more?
Well, we should make sure we get rid of the misconception of there being SEC refs in basketball. That's not a thing. Like there are referees that they have relationships with multiple conferences. Pat Adams has not exclusively worked SEC games this year.
Fair.
He bounces around the country, does a bunch of games
consistently. Though.
But for college football, that's different. SEC refs ref SEC games, and that's really just about it. I don't know. I think it is fair to question football reffing in that situation because, again, they're contracted with a certain league,
conference affiliation,
and the league can be, I don't believe it to be true, but there can be reason to believe for a fan that's skeptical of hey, what's the league wanting to call in here? Yeah. So like that aspect of it is harder to shield. But to me, I think it's pretty even, and like it happens across the country. Like
so diplomatic.
There are refs across college basketball that are of similar aptitude, and they get several things wrong.
It's
and I hope that
job,
they wouldn't do it.
It
is a hard job, but at this level, you should be held more accountable to doing it as well as you can. So
I agree. But the refs are not why Missouri lost this game. It's all the other stuff we said.
No.
But I think anybody that watched that game also came away going, oh my gosh, these officials. So felt like we should probably talk about that too.
All right, so we'll give more thoughts on Mizzou's fate now, as they're going to be sweating it out here for the next few days before Selection Sunday. The selection show at 5 p.m. on Sunday. Where are they going to end up? Are they going to still be a bye team, or are they going to have to go to the Dayton? Call or text us with what you think at 875-KTGR. We'll talk more Mizzou. We're going to grade the season to this point at 5:05. We're also going to talk Chiefs. We'll talk WBC. We'll give you a chance to win Como Man Show tickets at 5:20. Stay tuned. All next here on The Big Show.
The best subscriptions in life are free. Subscribe to KTGR on YouTube to watch The Big Show and other exclusive content. YouTube.com/@KTGR Sports.
As we get into the heart of basketball season, 1851 Underground Tap and Grill wants to remind you, whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you want to plop down with some friends and watch some of that college conference action on TV, they've got a spot for you. Your favorite cold beer or cocktail and delicious appetizer or dinner options on the menu. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. It's no secret that it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
Life has many sweet sounds, whether it's being enchanted by the coo of a baby, enthralled by the refrain of a favorite song, or even enlightened by a celebration. Hearing connects, informs, and engages us with the world. At Hearing Aid Consultants, helping people hear better is our passion. Set your hearing baseline now so you don't miss the sweet sounds of life.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
The nominations are in. Now it's time to pick the winners. Now through April 12th, you'll decide the winners for Inside Columbia Magazine's Best of Columbia 2026. Vote up to once per day for the businesses and places you love, including Best Coffee, Best Auto Repair, Best Brunch Menu, or Best Dispensary. You can vote once per day, so come back and support the businesses you love most. Best of Columbia 2026 starts with you. Vote now through April 12th for your favorites at InsideColumbia.net.
My name is Josh. I am an exterior project specialist with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors. If you are living in an aging home, you may start noticing items around your home that need repair or replacement. For example, your roof, shingles blowing off, roof leak pop up over time. If you're in an aging home and you look at your windows, you may start to see fogging up between the glass so you can't quite get it clean, or sashes that don't quite open just right and don't lock just right. With something like siding, you're going to notice that your paint is fading, and that may be a sign it's getting old. Maybe the vinyl siding on your home is brittle. And finally, if you have a deck, this is a common item of failure. Your stairs start to get a little wobbly and feel unsafe. If you notice any of these things happening to your home, give us a call and we'll let you know whether it be repair or replacement. We're going to take care of you.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin & Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin & Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin & Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin & Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin & Sticklin, it's a home run.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Today's business of the day is Debo Funeral Home in Fulton. Swing by tomorrow and grab yourself a free piece of pie for their Pie Day celebration.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Oh, yeah, I like this from Chris on our texter, 875-KTGR. Maybe Mitchell should have went for 83. I don't know. I guess that's what he did wrong.
That would have helped.
83 points.
Would have helped if he would have pulled the Bam Adebayo.
That's all they need to do. If Bam Adebayo can do it, anybody can, right?
That's how a lot of NBA fans feel.
Exactly. That's golly. Anyway. Mark Mitchell had an excellent game, 32 points. Second consecutive 32-point game for him.
Yep.
Matching his career high. But in neither game, Mizzou won. That is astonishing.
Do you need some good news?
Please.
It's not looking good for Auburn.
Well, that's always good news. I mean,
they're down 6 with a little more than a minute to play. So I think
well,
because that was one where I'm telling you, Auburn would have been ranked above Missouri on the seed line if they would have beat Tennessee. I really feel like just because of how prominent this conversation has been, giving Auburn like a late charge and being able to look at Missouri and saying, oh, you lost so many in a row. Auburn would have lipped over Texas, over Missouri, I think over a lot of their SEC peers. And it doesn't. And now that looks like the threat has been neutralized.
That's been the best part of this week. Everything that Mizzou has not played in. Seems every game that they have looked at as a potential bubble type of game has kind of gone their way.
Well, I would say Miami of Ohio didn't. I mean, you wanted them to win the league.
Sure.
Because that would have been no second bid. And I do think, we'll talk about it, but I do think they're probably going to get at least into Dayton. And so that was one that went against them, but there have been a lot of others that have gone okay. I do wonder how. I know that we kind of said out of sight, out of mind, it's not going to happen. But if Oklahoma keeps going, I don't know. Texas A&M a few years ago comes to mind as a team that ran through, made the semifinals of the SEC tournament.
Yeah, and still didn't make it though, right?
And did not make it, and so that's why I say, that's where I started saying, oh, wow, they ignore the SEC tournament. They ignore the conference tournament when it comes to whether you get in or not as a team that you can't basically get from not on the bubble to playing your way in by running the distance unless you win the whole tournament is kind of how I feel. But Oklahoma's been charging for a little bit longer to where I do wonder. I mean, if we're going to look at Auburn and say they're in the conversation as prominently as they have been, that's another one that I'm like, yeah, A&M's probably in. So maybe you root against Oklahoma in that game tonight. I don't know if it really matters that much. But you're right. I think largely the bubble stuff has been fine, and the Auburn one is one that would have been devastating.
Yeah.
People, they're looking for a reason to put them in, I feel like.
Because Auburn has more of a chance. I don't think they would have taken Mizzou's spot, but they had more of a chance to do so. Oklahoma First of all, I don't think even how long they go in this thing that they'll be enough.
Doesn't matter
to get it. I don't think it matters. And they also, even if they did, it would not be stealing Mizzou's spot either. I don't think they can pass Mizzou in a lot of what
there's so
the
many
committee
bad
would be
teams
using. Yeah, it really
matter.
is. Yeah, like it. That's why Oklahoma has a chance, because the bubble has been so bad.
I hate it, and Samuel was complaining that we keep talking Lenardi and giving Lenardi the attention, but it's like he's the bracket guy for ESPN. He updates his thing and tweets it out like every 2 hours, so it is prominently there. He hasn't updated that I've seen since Mizzou's loss, but he did update to say that he would have Miami of Ohio as the last 4 in, so literally 1 spot behind Mizzou.
Yeah,
but that's prior to Missouri's loss. So does Missouri then bump into last 4 in, which is Dayton territory? He's got Oklahoma all the way up to the first 4 out. And if Auburn's going to lose here, so, does an Oklahoma win over A&M bump them over Auburn? Indiana lost again to Northwestern. So I don't understand why Indiana is they're even on the graphic. Like, get them out of here. But so move them. Like, Oklahoma, I think, has an argument over New Mexico, Indiana, and Auburn if they beat Texas A&M tonight. So I kind of do think Oklahoma is quickly becoming more relevant to this conversation the more that they continue to win. But time will tell on that. I just think Missouri should be above Texas, should be above SMU. VCU, unless they run the table and win the A-10 tournament, should be fine there. But I think, he's got Missouri behind Central Florida, and they're playing, I think right now, getting
blasted
popped by Arizona.
Don't worry about that one. I don't think UCF
they're ahead of Mizzou already, according to Lenardi.
Yeah, and I think I think that's fair.
UCF?
Yeah.
No, that one's tough for me. I don't know if
they're about a full win better in WAB, UCF is, so I actually am not too surprised. So I would be more shocked if a team
they did beat Kansas too, I recall.
That is,
UCF.
That's another one that they got in their feather cap. But either way, I do not see a scenario that Mizzou drops below these teams that are still alive. Eventually, all of the power conference at-large hopefuls are going to be eliminated from this thing, and then you are very truly watching the mid-major conferences to see what happens. But I don't even think there are enough there, even with Miami, Ohio losing today. I don't think there's enough for Mizzou to really be sweating out. Well, they're going to sweat out, obviously, but I don't think it's going to be enough to completely drop them below the line of not making the tournament. And guess what? Get ready for Dayton. Prepare yourself mentally for having to watch this Mizzou team play Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
What should happen is that the sweat should be Dayton or
no Dayton.
A bye out of Dayton.
Yeah.
To me, that's the line that I think Missouri is on. I think enough will happen that kind of goes against them. It's already kind of happened with the Miami of Ohio. Like, I think Miami of Ohio could very well be above Missouri as well by the time it's all said and done.
I think so. Yeah.
And I don't really have an argument. Hell, would you welcome playing them in Dayton if that's what it came down to?
Sure.
I think that's completely fair and valid. And it would be
a team that had to scrape it, a team that had to do everything they possibly could to be in as an at-large team during the regular season versus a team that, look, down the stretch, played with their food a little bit and didn't really burst down the door to say, hey, we deserve to be, above the 10 line or something like that. And look, I think that'd be perfectly fair. Or Miami will get a like team to Missouri in that sense. They will play a power conference team, which is ultimately what they would have wanted, right? Because
ends up being Auburn. Let's say Missouri is ahead of the line.
Oh man. I don't think it will be, but
I don't either.
Yeah,
because I don't think Auburn's going to
so
make
fun though, right?
It would be. Can I be honest? I don't want Auburn in the tournament. That's the one exception.
Yeah,
that is the one exception that I will make. If that's the matchup, it will be appointment TV because
now people will watch the first 4. Let's go.
And part of me goes, I want to be able to root for Miami of Ohio in that game, and so I don't really want them to play Missouri. Not because I'm afraid. I honestly do. I do think Missouri would win. I would probably get a big head about it, but It would be very interesting. But also, if Missouri should lose, then that is like they're the new Drake. They're the new Princeton. Like, we're just adding another one to the ledger.
Yep.
That would not be enjoyable. But you can't fear that. Like, it just is what it is. If you're going to dispel some of these narratives, then you got to, that would be a great opportunity to dispel that type of narrative. But that's the one exception on Auburn that I'll make is if like Missouri's safely in and when we look at the bracketology, like people are overstating SMU or they're overstating, like a Santa Clara, and the committee actually likes Missouri above some of these teams. Auburn against Miami would be a treat. That would be a lot of fun.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Tell us what you think about Mizzou now as they have no games left until Selection Sunday. Let's go to Paul here on the KTGR hotline. Paul, what you got?
Yeah, guys, what's amazing to me is their record in the SEC tournament is just unbelievably bad. It's just horrible and frustrating. They lose the first game 90% of the time. And then you guys, what's better for Missouri fans? I think they're better off not even making the tournament because they get to go to Dayton and lose to Siena. It would just be horrible.
Well, they wouldn't lose to Siena. They would not lose.
Siena's a auto bid.
Yeah, they won't play that team. Appreciate the call, Paul, here on the Big Show, KTGR. Don't get too caught up also in the SEC tournament record. The thing is, like, if you're almost always going to end up like over a 10-year span with a losing tournament
Everybody
record,
loses except the team that wins.
like exactly. Like, yeah, it is very zero sum in that kind of sense. So like, don't get caught up in that. And no, Mizzou does not lose their first game 90% of the time in this tournament. Now they've never won. They've never won multiple games in this tournament. They've never
right. But when they get a double bye, it's like you get credited for getting the double bye. But that to Paul's thought, that's why, and I can understand that a little bit from a fan perspective of like, man, we sure seems like we lose more than half the time when we play in this event. Yeah, because the only way that's not going to be true is if you had a bad season and then so you're playing on Wednesday, or you had a mediocre season, you're playing on Wednesday, and then you can make a run. Like look at Kentucky as the example. Kentucky beats a bad team, so like good for them, but that's what they had to do. Otherwise, they're going to get dinged for losing to LSU. Then they get a similar opponent, and they happen to come out ahead today.
And they were favored against that opponent, even though
favored. They're a better team probably than Missouri this year, despite the fact that they had a worse seed in the SEC tournament.
Right.
But like, would Paul feel better if Missouri had gotten to play LSU yesterday and they would have won?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
It's so when the year where you get a double bye, right? You win that first game, but lose in the semifinals to what was it to Bama or to Florida? I forget.
It was Bama.
Bama that year. Last year they beat Mississippi State, but then they lose to Florida. Like the tournament is designed to have kind of that happen to you when it comes to the record, because you don't want to be having like 3 wins in one tournament from the 10 line. I mean, you do. It'd be great to advance that way, but they've reached the semifinal. They've reached obviously the quarterfinals and such a few times. So I can understand that point, but I think it's a little bit skewed based on the fact that usually they're not playing in that first game or that first day. And
every team except for one will add at least one loss to their SEC tournament record every single year.
Like think about Alabama's in a double bye. They get a win. They're in the championship game. They lose. Well, they only went 2-1.
Right.
So like that.
So did they have the same type of SEC tournament as Kentucky will probably have?
Who's going to go 2-1
because they're going to lose tomorrow to Florida.
Alabama got to the championship game in this instance, so that's where it gets a little bit skewed. I do understand why you might think that way, but I think when you break it down and go, okay, to be fair, like that's not an accurate reflection.
But either way, Mizzou short stay in Nashville, and that's not what they were hoping for. And look, had a chance down the stretch to make it happen, and because they didn't, now they leave it into the hands of the NCAA tournament committee, and they'll find out Sunday whether or not they're in or out. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Under the bus coming up next. We, have to set aside time for this Pat Adams-led SEC tournament crew. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou out in their first game of the SEC tournament in Nashville, falling to Kentucky today, 78-72. Tigers trailed by as much as 16 in the second half, but stormed back and actually took a 1-point lead with under 3 minutes to go, but could not hold that lead despite Mark Mitchell's 32 points. Scores that point total for the second consecutive game. It matches his career high, but the Tigers fall in the game, and they're 20-2 overall with just one game in the SEC tournament there. So they will await their postseason fate. Selection Sunday for the NCAA tournament field of 68 will begin on Sunday at 5 p.m. The Chiefs reportedly bringing in another cornerback from free agency. They have signed Kader Kohu from the Miami Dolphins. He was injured all of last season with a torn ACL, but in his first 3 NFL seasons has made 38 starts for the Dolphins. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Crutch's Custom Exteriors. Get your very own custom P platform. Mowing services, welding services are perfectly landscaped backyard today. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
I'm tracking warm and windy weather the next few days, with temperatures in the 50s and 60s through tomorrow. A wind advisory is in effect in northern Missouri tonight for wind gusts up to 45 miles per hour. Those are mostly in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range the next few days. Saturday still warm up to near 70 degrees, but we will see a big cool down into Sunday with rain chances in the morning and afternoon and snow by the end of the day. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
The foundation is set.
Missouri knocks off the #1 team in the nation.
The frame is built.
On the run, Mitchell for the flush, Missouri by 20.
And the gates,
the habits, the response to detail, the execution, all that stuff matters.
Are open.
Drives right baseline to the rim, jams it as he hangs and got fouled.
This is your radio home for Mizzou basketball.
Cruz, here comes the 3. Bang, he splashed it home.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
We're trying to save people money. Go.
What if we cut sandwiches into thirds instead of halves?
We could stop buying warranties and just hope.
What about switching our toilet paper to half ply?
You.
It doesn't take a terrible think tank to save money. Just shop at Family Pawn. They've got jewelry, electronics, tools, and gifts for way less. No sacrifices, no half-ply TP. Ugh.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
The Como Man Show is almost here. This Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Events Center where the Boone County Fair is held. You can win prizes in the hot wing eating contest or enter to win prizes like sweet tickets to a Mizzou game, iron rocking chairs with a fire pit, Royals pub table, concert tickets, and more. With food trucks and tasty beverages available. Plus, a portion of the proceeds will be given to the VIP Veteran Pack program. General admission and VIP tickets on sale now at ComoManShow.com.
You could be right in the middle of celebrating a big win, and all of a sudden, bang, you've got ants on the counter or mice in the garage. Hi, I'm Mike Kelly. As someone who's called buzzer beaters and game winners for 3 decades, I think the best call that you can make is to Steve's Pest Control. I'm on the road a lot during the season, which is why I've signed up for Steve's 5-star pest control program. It's comforting to know that even when I'm not home, Steve's Pest Control is protecting my house from termites and other pests. Plus, the 5-star program keeps the pests at bay, controlling and eliminating them before they have a chance to enter your home. Scheduling is incredibly easy. You don't even have to be home. And if a pest problem pops up at any time, Steve's will perform a retreat for no additional charge. Call Steve's Pest Control today and ask about their 5-star pest control program so you can kick back, relax, and enjoy the game.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Step into a real-life snow globe with Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel on this 9-day European vacation. Stroll Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest. From castles and cathedrals to twinkling market stalls. Sip warm Glühwein, shop handcrafted gifts, and even visit a family-run candy workshop. Learn more by joining us in Colette Travel Tuesday, March 17th at 5:30 at Courtyard Marriott Columbia on Lamone Industrial Boulevard. RSVP today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
My name is Taylor, and I have had insurance with Phyllis Nichols and her team for over 9 years. A auto claim came when my wife was rear-ended. Everyone was safe, but that left a lot of cosmetic damage on her brand new car. We called Phyllis, said, hey, this is what happened, and she's made it a very streamlined process. Phyllis lined out our rental car and made everything just so easy. And having 3 kids and losing a vehicle is a big deal, but Phyllis went to bat for us, got everything lined out, and made it a very easy process.
Paradise doesn't have to be far away. Sometimes it's a quiet walk through a state park. Sometimes it's your favorite takeout and a night in. At Shangri-La, we believe that cannabis belongs in those everyday moments, not as an escape, but as part of living well. That's why we offer 20% off select category every day, plus 20% off store-wide every Sunday. Thoughtful products, honest guidance, real value. Shangri-La, discover paradise. Learn more at ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
Today's business of the day is Debo Funeral Home in Fulton. Swing by tomorrow and grab yourself a free piece of pie for their Pie Day celebration.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
I'm sorry. I know it might be sounding like sour grapes a little bit. Mizzou did not lose the game because of this, but when you have a 5-point swing right after that missed goaltending call that everybody in the gym watching it live could have very easily understood. And if they need to go and review and say that they were wrong on calling it goaltending,
right,
fine. But they would not have been wrong on calling it goaltending because it was very clearly a ball dropped by, I believe, Mitchell, right? I believe Mitchell was the one who took the shot, and it was on its way down very clearly before the Kentucky player touched the ball.
It was bad. It was really, really bad, and it wasn't the only missed call, but it was the most impactful one. There's no doubt about that.
But instead, what we're going to review in Pat Adams' world are, little hands to the face, things like that. He loves that stuff.
He's addicted to it,
He
man.
just can't get enough, man. Again, Mizzou had plenty of reasons why they lost the game. But let's not forget that one. Also, under the bus to Jim Boeheim. He's been out of his longtime gig with Syracuse for a few years now. Syracuse just fired its coach, Adrian Autry. Syracuse has not really been all that great of a program since Jim Boeheim left. And, of course, you can maybe understand that. They're 15-17 this year. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament. But Jim Boeheim's defending Adrian Autry, saying it's the players' fault. And it's the fact that they don't have any NIL money or things like that, which I find ironic because I feel like Jim Boeheim sometimes did this when he was the coach of Syracuse. He would throw his own players on the bus. Hey, your star players need to play well. And like all that. Then he kind of did the same thing for his successor over at Syracuse.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's probably a fair comparison to make. And he's on a studio crew now, or what's the deal with him? Is he doing?
I don't know if he still is. He did a little bit of it right afterwards. I don't know if he still does. It's a good question. He might be on ACC Network or something like that. He gave this interview to ACC Network, so maybe he does some work for them. Either way, I mean, look, he was a legendary coach, and he got them to grand new heights that I'm sure they could have never imagined before. But he's still trying to coach the team.
He just misses blaming his players a little bit, and he wants to blame somebody else's players.
Wanted to get back in there. In the blame game, at least. But, good luck to Adrian Autry. That was going to be a tough job to follow, right?
Sure.
So maybe he'll get another chance somewhere else, and all's well that ends well. Well, Team USA still in the WBC, and they have Team Italy and Vinny Pasquantino to thank. 3-homer game.
Pasquantino.
Vinny P. And he said he'd never had a 3-homer game before, but he had it there. And
that's a true American right there.
That sure is. true American and true Italian. He joked out and he looked right in the camera during his post-game interview, said, "You're welcome, USA."
That's awesome.
Said, "We're thinking of you during this game today."
This is Bobby Witt. That's for you, buddy.
He's like, "What's your first text to Bobby Witt going to be right after this game?"
That's pretty good.
From JP Morosi, who was interviewing them. So, it'll be Team Italy taking on Puerto Rico in the quarterfinals Saturday. But then before that, on Friday night, Team USA is going to play Canada in the quarters.
There's a lot of intrigue with this tournament, man. And you haven't even gotten USA against, you haven't gotten like a USA Puerto Rico or, but there's Canada is a fun one. That's, there's always those implications in hockey. And now we get it just a couple weeks later in baseball. Kind of cool.
Go. So that'll be Friday night at 7:00 for Team USA. And then we'll see if they can keep advancing there. And maybe that was the wake-up call that they needed, losing to Italy. And maybe they'll play a little bit better down the stretch here.
Or pitch better.
Pitch better. Have a better pitching plan. Know what to do to advance.
Yeah.
Hopefully Mark DeRosa knows now.
You have not punched your ticket to the semifinal, just to be totally clear.
Coming up, we're going to give our grades for the Mizzou basketball season to this point. Regular season plus a conference tournament loss. We'll give our grades next here on The Big Show.
When it comes to tree care, knowledge matters. And Advanced Tree Solutions doesn't just cut, they care. Educate, communicate, and protect the health of your trees. Whether for homeowners associations, golf courses, apartment complexes, you name it. And it's one less thing to worry about. With expert service and yearly discounts, your business and your trees are in good hands. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions today. Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
Nobody wants to be picked last or finish last in the standings. Last strike of the last inning? Nope. And you never want to be the last one finishing your laps at practice. So when baseball and softball season get here, don't wait until the last minute to gear up either. Head to Play It Again Sports in Columbia. They've got everything your athlete needs for the upcoming baseball and softball seasons. Plus, gently used equipment too. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com. Lee's Tire Company has been around longer than the internet, longer than the Happy Meal, and since before Star Wars hit the big screen. For 55 years, they've been family-owned right here in our community, fixing flats, solving problems, and doing honest work to get you back on the road. So while you might not be able to pick your family, you can pick your tire place. And once you pick Lee's Tire Company, you'll join their family forever.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
Before the sun comes up and long after it sets, ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather keep working for you, gathering the information your family needs to take on the day, alerting you to breaking news and health and safety concerns in our area, plus tracking the latest weather conditions to help you plan ahead. It's everything you need to know from the team you trust most. ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather, where the news comes first.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Nick DeLucas. Some early March Madness and Conference Tournament Week. The SEC Tourney's second round, number 25 Tennessee taking down Auburn 72-62. Vols plus 17 in the second half to win it. Nate Ahmed led the way with 27. ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi has Auburn in his first four out. Miami, Ohio, no longer undefeated. Still in Lunardi's last four in after falling to UMass in the MAC quarters. Head coach Travis Steele looking for his team to stick together.
We got to become even tighter, more together in these moments. And I think we always respond the right way, man. Big events call for big responses. So we'll move on, kind of decompress because obviously very emotional in the locker room after a loss. One of our goals is obviously to win the MAC tournament championship.
In the NFL, linebacker Dre Greenlaw heading back to the Niners on a one-year deal for $7.5 million after being released by the Broncos, while edge rusher Bryce Huff announced his retirement from football. He turns 28 next month.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
From Faro.
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush.
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
No surprise that it's a basketball-heavy show after Mizzou falls to Kentucky. Earlier today in the SEC tournament, the Tigers are bounced in their first game from Nashville. So now that the regular season is over, we don't know what postseason fate awaits the Tigers just yet. But now that the regular season is done, grade it. What's your grade for the regular season for Mizzou men's basketball? We'll tell you about ours coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll give away some Como Man Show tickets at 5:20, so be staying tuned for that. And more bubble talk at 5:25. Is Miami of Ohio going to be in this tournament? Are they out? Should they go to Dayton? Would you welcome playing them if you're Missouri? All that and more coming up on the show over the next hour. 573-875-KTGR to call or text. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Yeah, that was tough to watch, at least towards the end. Mizzou had a valiant effort to try and get back into the game against Kentucky. They were down by as much as 16 in the second half. Mark Mitchell, second consecutive 32-point game for him. It matches his career high. But in neither game, Mizzou was able to finish the job and win. Tigers losing the SEC tournament, just one game for them in Nashville. And so now at a 20-12 overall record and 10-8 in the SEC, what does that mean for their NCAA tournament hopes? I think they're still in. But Dayton is very much on the table. Do not be surprised if the Tigers are in one of those first 4 games and have to play another bubble team that just made it on either Tuesday or Wednesday to play into the round of 64. We shall see.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
I firmly believe Mizzou is in because everybody else is losing around them. Indiana once again lost to Northwestern. That's bad. Auburn, they were looking good against Tennessee, but then Tennessee went on a 19-0 run or something like that and dispatched them not too long ago. Auburn should not be in this field at all. The fact that a team like Oklahoma, who couldn't even sniff NCAA tournament territory 3 weeks ago, is now one of the first 4 out. I think it's less about Oklahoma and more about everybody around them in the bubble just not looking all that great down the stretch. So because Mizzou's above that line at the moment, I don't think anybody's going to take their spot.
Number 3.
It does appear that Miami of Ohio is going to take somebody's spot, though, after they lost, because I think they need to be in. Have a perfect regular season. I don't care when you lost in your conference tournament. This was the quarterfinal round, and it was UMass. It was a quad 4 loss. It's not a good loss to take, but they should be in, and that does mean that someone at the bottom of the line in that at-large territory is going to be sent home a little unhappy because of that sense. But don't be unhappy because of Miami, Ohio doing that. Be unhappy that you didn't leave no doubt.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Chiefs note they signed a free agent cornerback today, Kader Kohu. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Former Dolphins corner. Missed all last year due to a torn ACL, but has 38 starts in his first 3 NFL seasons. Look, Chiefs do need some experience in the corner room, so they got some in free agency. After losing Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, we'll see what they add now.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
What a piece from Chris Lowe of On3 about Ahmad Hardy. That man already Tiger legend.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR. If you have a chance to go and see it, you're able to view On3's content, go and check it out because it is an excellent profile on Ahmad Hardy and some very good quotes and nuggets, one of which saying that because he doesn't even have an agent, he said, quote, didn't need an agent. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be a Tiger until I turned pro. End quote.
Man, that's we wish every player could be, like that. I'll bet you Eli Drinkwitz wishes every player could be like that.
Oh, yeah.
maybe wouldn't say it about the agent part, but I think it does simplify things where it doesn't sound like they're taking advantage of Ahmad Hardy's lack of agency either. I mean, he was an agent for himself, and I think the article specified over $1 million. So like, Ahmad Hardy's doing just fine, but he knew what he wanted. He knew where he wanted it, and boy, we are lucky to have him. And that was something that like we kind of figured would be fine, Andy. But in this era of transfer portal and NIL madness, it was in the back of my head, like until we heard officially, I was, wondering, what was going to happen with Hardy, just like every other player.
Oh yeah,
can enter the portal, and so you're like, well, my gosh, our best player certainly would have opportunities. Sounds like he did, and he said no thanks.
Oh, he had some, that's for sure. But right as he stood at the mic in that press conference, I can't remember if it was before the bowl game. It might have been. He was asked whether he's getting calls from other teams, and he said, "No, not really. They must think that they know that I'm a Tiger, and I'm not answering back if they call." So that is
pretty good.
That's the guy that
now just
Mizzou fans can rally behind. Obviously,
just give him the football in the right situations, and let's have some fun, because it could be a special year. I still think it can be. Get a little passing game to open up the run game as well. Get a little Jamal Roberts to spell Hardy. I mean, Roberts is going to get his touches. I think both those guys are happy to be here, and Mizzou fans should be happy to have them both.
A little under 6 months.
Yep.
There you go. In case anybody is already moving on to that point. I don't think you should be.
A little bit.
I don't think so.
A little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
It's to guard my heart, because what if the committee says my team doesn't get to play any more games?
Well, that would be unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think so. I don't think, I see the comments already. People say, oh, they don't even deserve to be in. We're going to get Mizzou'd, all the things you could say. And I, believe me, I feel a lot of that. But I do think, objectively speaking, should be okay. I'm not saying you're going to avoid Dayton, and maybe Dayton's what you deserve, but that's still something. That's still an opportunity to play your way as deep into March as you possibly can. So I would be okay with Dayton if that was the fate. I'm hoping against it still, but I'm honestly not trying to put a lot of my thought and stock into Dayton or not. I'm just like, as long as they're in, they'll have an opportunity, and that's kind of what an uneven season like this one brings them to. But what does an uneven season like this one bring you to for a grade, Andy? How do you even begin to figure this one out?
Well, here's the thing. Reason why we do this now is because we shouldn't let the NCAA tournament committee influence how you feel about it.
That's interesting.
You should.
That's an interesting theory.
You should just evaluate the results yourself and not base it off of what the tournament committee might feel. I think with this, you can just look at what Mizzou has done, body of work, and come up with a reasonable spot, which I'm going to go B-.
I think that's what I'm going to do too.
I think B- is mine. It was looking like at least at most a D.
Yep.
But by the time January rolled around,
that's why I have to be fair here and say, as much as I am frustrated and I want to say something more like Samuel put the line together, he said B-/C+. Disappointing non-conference schedule and performance. Good to bounce back in conference play, but the flaw of not having a deep roster came back to hurt us. I want to go more on the C+ side, but I'm going to say B- because I remember saying, like, not only at the beginning, but also as some of the stuff in December was happening, I remember saying, like, you know what, if they get to where they have a solid season, win 9 or 10 conference games, and they're on the bubble, I'm not going to stress too much about which side of the bubble they're on. And obviously now that it's here, I'm very stressed about it. But they've put themselves in that position. They won 20 games. B- is acknowledging the good things while not going too far overboard, because there have been some major frustrations in watching this team. But B- is fair. I mean, I did not see a 10-win conference slate coming, Andy, during any of the things that happened in the month of December.
And again, like that's a winning SEC record, and the SEC over the last couple of years has never been this strong. Like they have this league is very hard to win 10 games in now, and Mizzou has done it 3 out of the last 4 years. I think for what I base it on, I can't put it lower than a B- because for Mizzou's perspective, I don't think an NCAA tournament year should be essentially what it should drop below that mark. Because Mizzou fans will be cynical and say you should always make the tournament. But they haven't the last, decade plus.
No, they've been disappointing as a program.
Yeah, they have not gotten there consistently since Norm Stewart left or since Quinn Snyder left, whatever you want to make the line of demarcation. There have been several coaches between now and then that have not been able to consistently do that type of thing. And so whatever you might think they're supposed to do every year, it might be a little bit inflated based on what has been reality. And so I think at this point and where Mizzou's program is, what their stature is, any NCAA tournament year, the grade cannot begin with a C or a D, no matter what. So you're in that high water mark.
But you're assuming that they make the tournament.
And that's why I say B-, because that's about as low as you can get as far as making a tournament and doing that type thing. So for me, I am recognizing that that's been frustrating and that Mizzou has not absolutely rubber stamped this type season with a win that they could have gotten today.
Right.
And been just fine with knowing that they're going to be playing in March.
I would sort of challenge, though, the idea that you can't wait until after the selection committee decides to do this, because if they don't make the tournament, they didn't make the tournament. And that, therefore,
I think they're
making
the tournament, though. I think they are. And again, I still would, this type team, what they've done, I would still have that evaluation about them.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. But it's like a 80%. It's the lowest B- you can get if they somehow get left out.
Yeah.
Like, and even if they're in it and and again, we would grade then the full season, including postseason. And if they lose their first game in the March Madness tournament, assuming they make it, that would definitely be a correct souring tune to things. But I don't think you can say like it's a bad year. The context of losing some production that they had to replace, felt like it was going to be this from the beginning. I thought it was going to be this. And then I thought they're not even close to the bubble. And then I thought they're above the bubble. And now we're right back where we started, where it's like, yep, this is kind of one of those years. Hopefully a transition to something better when you think about next year's recruiting class. But at the same time, we've played that game before and we don't always reap the benefits of it. But I think the things that would want to drag me closer to down to C+ would be sitting there and going, well, we made growth, right? Gio Barrett has become a player that you really feel, well, now I don't even know if that's true. Trent Burns has really emerged as, I don't know, did he really? Like, they're so uneven. But I think if you were to dock them down to a C grade for that unevenness, it doesn't quite acknowledge where we were to begin the season, which is probably the most fair way to grade it. And I thought they would be right about here.
Yeah.
I think, though, if they get left out on Sunday, we'll obviously be looking at the teams that got in instead and go, oh, was Missouri snubbed? But, like, they also would have put themselves in this position. I kind of liken it to, you know what? It's exactly the same as something that you're going to get mad at for me bringing up again, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think it's identical. The situation right now with Missouri being in the hands of the selection committee is identical to Mark Mitchell throwing the ball to Tanner of Vanderbilt, and they're chucking up a half-court prayer. Because it kind of feels like right now a half-court prayer is what keeps Mizzou out. Like, I think that's the degree to which I think they're safe, is like, unless somebody hits a half-court prayer against our candidacy, I think Mizzou is in. But, like, It's not in Missouri's hands anymore. In that same moment of that Vanderbilt game, wasn't in their hands. They already did their part. They had their impact, and it was up to somebody else to try to do something otherworldly to knock you down a peg. That's kind of what you're waiting on. You're looking at bid Steelers, and you're looking at, maybe just not having as much of a favorable opinion. But I do think it's still within a half-court heave of Mizzou still being left out of this tournament. Not in the literal sense, but like in the way of the margin feels kind of like it could still be that close. We don't know what the bracketologists are right about and what they're wrong about. That's going to be for the committee to decide. I think the WAB number is still pretty solid. I don't know that it's been updated today, though. So unless
they're still ranked, from what I can tell, 41. I mean, their number went down because they lost
after
game,
the Kentucky game. So
but
it's updated.
Again, it's a ranking, and so everybody else, like they had a cushion against the team that was right below them. So they're still 41.
It feels very, very close. I think they will be in as well. But I would say if they don't make it, I would retroactively move it to a C+, because I do think that it's like you had every opportunity to make this tournament. And so as much as I want to contextualize my feelings from the beginning of the year, I also want to contextualize our feelings going into the final couple of games where you're like, you're playing Oklahoma, you get Arkansas at home, no ACUF. Okay, you're playing a Kentucky team you've already beaten. Finding a way to win one of those games, and this is a B, no minus at minimum for the way we feel about the season. But it's once again that argument, and maybe it's narrative driven or maybe it's kind of fair, of Missouri, just not under Gates, however you want to classify it, but just in general, not being able to kind of get over the hump where it feels so damn attainable to do it. Just beat the 15 seed Princeton and you're going to get lauded for that. Just handle your business and you're good to go. Right? Just beat the 11 seed Drake and people feel really good about where you are. Hey, just win one of these games that you are there for the taking, and we can leave no doubt. Every time they have a chance to leave no doubt, we start to doubt because of their performances. So if the committee leaves them out, I don't know if it's fair or unfair. We'd have to look at the resumes of who gets in instead.
Yeah.
But that would lower me to a C+.
Just that I would really question a field of 68 that includes some of the teams that are below Mizzou instead of Mizzou.
I agree with you.
Really question that. And I would not, and again, it wouldn't change me because Mizzou has not played any games between now and then. So I can't really change my evaluation of it.
I can.
So like that to me,
they left out.
I get it. At the same time, winning SEC record.
Yep.
And you might say, oh, that needs to happen but it hasn't. It hasn't. Now they've done it back-to-back years in years that look very similar. So, like, whatever you evaluated last year as, I think this can be very similar. Mizzou was a 6 seed last year because they got the non-con wins that really helped them out. They were able to really do damage there and get off on a strong start.
By the way. That's going to be a conversation about non-con and scheduling. And especially if we all agree like it shouldn't happen. But if Auburn sneaks into Dayton, I think you have to look at that and say, here's what the committee values, because this is a team in your situation, in your league, that did the complete 180-degree opposite of what you did with non-con. And they found a couple key wins there. Now, maybe this Missouri team at that point in time would not have been able to do that. And maybe Dennis anticipates that and says, let's be careful. We don't want to start off on a low note. We want to try to be the snowball rolling down the hill and pick up momentum from early season wins as we're learning who our guys are, what our rotations are, putting together the team that we're going to be. And so that's probably his thought process. But man, it might just be schedule them tough, baby. And you save a little money that way too. Because if Auburn gets in, that is an all-timer to say just schedule tough. It doesn't matter what the record is, as long as you can say, look at all the great teams that beat us. I mean, that ends up being a big deal.
It does. There's a balance, though, right? Because it can't be all like tough teams. I think Auburn's a very interesting case because they lost to teams that are like top 10.
I know.
4 of them. Houston, Michigan, Arizona, Purdue. But then they beat St. John's and they beat NC State. And so like there have to be levels to it. You can't throw a bunch of those schools in there and say, oh, Mizzou will do the exact same thing, even if they only win one of those games, because you can't really predict how those teams are going to fare also, because it's kind of a guessing game at the same time. Like you might schedule a team that was really good last year, but then this year they're not up to snuff and they drag down your strength of schedule.
Yeah,
so,
but I'm not going to argue against like hypotheticals like that. Let's schedule some of those games first and then point to an example of that happening. It hasn't happened because we don't schedule even one. Not even one of them. So
sure,
I do think there needs to be a little bit of a correction in that direction. Like we lean on Kansas and Illinois being every year games. And so it's like, those are 2 teams that are ranked, so we don't have to do any other scheduling. I don't agree with that. Like, you don't have to go as far as Auburn did. They still played 6 kind of small conference teams. I just checked their non-con schedule. But the other, 6, 7 games, however many it was, I mean, they played some big boys. And I think somewhere in between is probably reasonable. And if you happen to lose all the games to the good teams you play, then
Well,
so
also
be
keep
it,
in mind, might have been invited to those situations as well because they were just coming off a Final Four appearance. So like
totally,
some of them were ones that they maybe put on the books, but others were ones that were only available to them, right? And so
I think in this case that's fair.
So like Mizzou, if they wanted to play in an MTE, then like but you got to be invited into one, right?
They were though, and they declined it. So again, not even wrong because the players' era might just be a complete joke.
But
right?
at the
So
same
I'm not even
time,
saying that's wrong.
That MTE may not have included Michigan and St. John's, right? So like that, you don't know what that's going to be. I agree. Like one or two more power conference opponents on next year's schedule would be welcome. I'd be ready to see that. And if Mizzou really wants to try and capitalize on that influx of talent coming in and saying like, hey, let's see what we can look like.
Showcase
with
Jason Crow
though,
Jr.
And all that. So
there's an argument to be made that they should be doing that next year.
So I mean,
that maybe this year wasn't the year to do it because they would have been. They might have gone over. I mean, if they did the Auburn schedule this year because they had two players that were injured, which you couldn't have known at the time. But anyway.
No, it's fair. Next year is a very interesting conversation for that. Next year, very interesting transfer portal conversation. This year, it's B- for me.
Yeah.
I probably won't change it from whatever happens in the next few days or so. But that's just, it's evaluating what we've seen so far, what this team has shown us, and we'll see what the committee thinks of it.
Will you change now this is regular season, but we kind of lumped in the SEC tournament to it. Would you change your overall season grade if Missouri gets in as a 10 or an 11 and kind of no shows in their game, or even better yet, if it's a Dayton game and they don't show well? Does that
right? Yeah.
How do you feel about the totality of that? I guess we'll obviously get a chance
that
to talk
can
about it,
change because that's final exam territory, and I don't know, like whatever your school decided to do, is it 15 or 20% of your grade? Like it can change.
I want to run this back after we find out to see,
play some games. Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would say like, yes, the NCAA tournament is the goal and like doing well in it is the goal, but you shouldn't judge the season based on that one game.
Yeah.
And I would say that deep into a coach's tenure, it is kind of fair to start judging on how they perform in March Madness. Once you start getting, once you clear the bar of, okay, we're regularly getting to the tournament. This would be 3 out of 4 years under Dennis Gates. I would say that then becomes the next level of how do we do once we get there? Because there are coaches who are, in the Hall of Fame are going to be because, that in March, you don't want to see that guy. You don't want to see his teams. And so I do think as the Dennis Gates record in the month of March is starting to become more of a conversation online because it's bad. But I also think it's like, people are ignoring the year they went 4-2 when he first got here in March, and then lumping in the year that they went 0-19 in conference play and saying like, well, they lost all these games. It's like, yeah, the last couple of years in March,
a pretty bad team.
It's been bad, but you can't kind of be selective with that. So I do think it becomes an interesting conversation. But like you said, we have to wait till the committee convenes and we find out what our fate is before we can really take that next step in the conversation.
What's your grade of Mizzou men's basketball to this point? 573-875-KTGR. We're going to get more thoughts on that. We're going to talk about Miami, Ohio, where they should land, whether in or out of the NCAA tournament. But let's give away some more Como Man Show tickets. You will not want to miss it Saturday at the Northeast Event Center on the Boone County Fairgrounds, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can come stop by the KTGR booth. We'll be giving out T-shirts. We will have a human slot machine. You ever seen that? I actually haven't.
I have not.
I myself am going to be, it's like 3 people inside of they're dividers, and you do the whole thing and you pick up an item. And like, if the items all line up, then it's kind of like a slot machine there. But we'll have one of those. We'll have a chance to win some prizes. A lot of other prizes to check out and win as well at the Como Man Show. All things from hunting, fishing, power sports, motorsports, so much more. Go and get your tickets right now at ktgr.com or comomanshow.com, or win them right now if you're the winner of our trivia challenge. Text in the correct answer to this question to 573-875-KTGR. Here's the question. Before today, who was the last Mizzou men's basketball player to score 30 points in an SEC tournament game? If you know the answer, text it to us, 573-875-KTGR. If you're one of the first few to get the answer right and text it to us, you'll win a pair of tickets to the Como Man Show this Saturday. Good luck, everybody. Again, last Mizzou men's basketball player to score 30 points in an SEC tournament game. Text us the answer at 875-KTGR. We'll talk some more bracketology next on The Big Show.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
The best thing about spring is that there's no single best thing about spring. It's all good. Golfing, peeing off the deck. Grilling, peeing off the deck. You can do everything outside again. Peeing off the deck. Practice your aim at cornhole and peeing off your crutch's deck. You don't want to hit those railing posts. All the beauty and fun of spring just go better with Crutch's Custom Exteriors. True beauty is on the outside. See what they can do for you at CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
KTGR and MU Healthcare Sports Medicine are highlighting a local athlete each week. It's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight.
This week features Rockbridge junior forward Simone Walker, who averaged 19 points and over 10 rebounds for the Bruins in the district tournament, helping Rockbridge girls hoops to their 4th straight district title.
That's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight, thanks to MU Healthcare Sports Medicine, providing everything athletes need to be and stay at their best, because they're competitors too.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
I'm one of them, wishing for warmer weather. In the current issue of Inside Columbia Magazine, pull up a chair with our dining guide and see the best outdoor patio and rooftop hotspots. Don't miss a single event, party, or fundraiser in the community calendar. And a delicious battle is on as we debate a critical question: who has the best pizza in town? It's all Inside Columbia Magazine. Get your copy today at break time convenience stores or have it delivered at InsideColumbia.net.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Today's business of the day is Debo Funeral Home in Fulton. Swing by tomorrow and grab yourself a free piece of pie for their Pie Day celebration.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
Still looking for all of our winners. Got one, need another one. Our trivia challenge for a pair of Como Man Show tickets. Como Man Show coming up this Saturday here in Columbia. Northeast Event Center on the Boone County Fairgrounds. Question is, last Mizzou men's basketball player to have a 30-point SEC tournament game. Mark Mitchell had one today. Before that, who was the last one to do it? 573-875-KTGR is the number to text us to let us know what the answer is. Do you have a guess, Brendan?
I have seen the answer throughout my trials of the day, so I will not partake. But I would say it would have been a little bit of a difficult one to answer correctly unless you are really in tune with it. Like, I wouldn't say it's the usual suspects that you'd be looking toward.
No.
If that's a fair hint.
Well, yeah, and it's, again, SEC tournament games, so not a whole lot of years you have to span back. Just look at the last 14, and you'll know exactly where you can pinpoint it. So, again, text in the correct answer to us, 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show. If you want to get in and win a pair of tickets to the Como Man Show, looking for one more winner, text in the answer to that trivia question. Okay, so Mizzou, I don't know if Lenardi still hasn't updated, right? And it's not just him.
Actually.
It's not just him that has the Bible to this, but I mean.
But we are going to look at it because he does tweet it out a bunch. And he did. He tweeted out a new one that puts Mizzou in Dayton.
Below Miami of Ohio.
Below Miami, Ohio. Switched them. I don't know why, because I mean, I guess Missouri lost.
They lost, yeah.
That was enough to drop them below. But they didn't lose a quad 4 today. But no, I joke. I'm not going to argue any which way. I hope Mizzou's above Miami of Ohio, but if they're not, I won't be shocked by that necessarily. I do think Miami of Ohio will be in the tournament. Subjecting them to Dayton might be, I don't know.
I mean, again, they're we talk a lot about WAB.
Yeah.
And their WAB's still pretty good, even with the loss. 35.
It's so hard to judge, though, because they didn't play anybody.
Well, but again, that's how you do it. That's the metric. Like, again,
I know,
like
but
they didn't play very many teams, but they beat all the teams.
Yeah.
If it were that easy, everybody would beat them.
I'm going to say the metric is probably great. It's probably lovely. But if I were going to look to poke a hole in it somewhere, I would probably start and say it might not really know what to adequately do with a team that doesn't play any quad 1 games the whole season long and only plays 2 quad 2s the whole season long. So, like, there's some data points that just flat out aren't there to be able to come up with this answer. And so you got to put them somewhere. And, like, yeah, you're going to put them in a favorable spot because they didn't lose until today for a whole basketball season. So I'm not arguing that they're in the right spot or the wrong spot, but I just am like, if there were going to be ways to tweak a system, would have loved to have seen Miami of Ohio play 1 quad 1 game, don't care who it is, all year long, and then you can add that data point in. But it didn't happen, and so here we are.
They're about to. I mean,
yeah,
it'll
probably.
They'll play a quad 1 team here, and not too.
I'm trying to think. Is that right, though? What would it be? A neutral floor, top 50 in the net is what it has to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they'll play, if they're a 10, or I guess they could still technically be an 11. Like if Lenardi's projection is right on for them, then they would be the second 11 seed. So they'd play a 6. Yeah, that's a.
But I'm saying they're 1 spot away from playing an 11 seed in the first round.
That's true. Yeah.
So. Probably would still be top 50 in the net, but it would be not a guarantee necessarily. I think it probably would be, but Missouri's not. I don't think Missouri's top 50 in the net.
No, I don't think so. It'll be very interesting. Your question was interesting, though, Brendan. If you were Mizzou, would you want to play him?
Like, if you could press the button right now and say, hey, I'm going to let you press this button, Missouri fans. You press it, you're playing Miami of Ohio and Dayton. Would you press that button right now? And what goes into that answer, I think, is A, okay, it would mean you're guaranteed in the tournament, but it would mean you also have to go to Dayton. But it would mean you also know who you're playing and you can decide whether or not that's a scary matchup. So, like, those are all the variables at play. Would you rather press your luck and say, no, I trust that the committee is going to have Missouri in the tournament regardless, so I'll press my luck and hope that maybe they don't have to go to Dayton. I'm not pressing the button. Or would you say, I don't know, guys, I feel like they might not be in the tournament. I'm pressing the button just to make sure that my team gets in. I think it is fascinating. Would you press the button, Andy? The hypothetical button?
Yes.
I think I might too. I think I might. I don't know. I don't want to go to Dayton, but it's like I think they're probably going to end up in Dayton anyway. I don't think they're going to get snubbed completely, but I also think they could beat Miami of Ohio, a team that didn't play a single quad 1 opponent all year long. Like, I'm sure they're a great team. Have you watched some of their recent games? They had to fight and claw in just about all of them against quad 3 and 4 type of teams. Not to say that I think the target on their back got bigger and bigger, and that's part of it. And honestly, losing a game might be the best thing for them because they can kind of say, okay, we're not the unbeaten, weird kid that everybody's looking at right now. Because everybody was kind of treating them like this anomaly, like, oh, you're undefeated, but we're all kind of rooting for you to lose your first game because we don't think you're legit. We think you're a fraud. And so now it's like, all right, that monkey's off the back. Like it's not going to be something that is discussed anymore. And I think they can play a little bit more free because of it. But I also think that, I think Missouri beats them. So I would welcome the opportunity. And look, if I'm wrong, what's one more? We've already lost to Drake. We've already lost to Princeton. What's one more? Seriously, you can't hurt me in a way that I haven't already endured. So what's one more? Yeah, bring them on. Bring on the Red Hawks. Why not?
Oh man, Daniel says he's pushing the button.
I might be pushing it too. And then there's no sweat. I mean, think of the lack of anxiety you would have over the next 3 days if you just didn't have to worry. You know what's coming. That part alone might be worth it. Just to not have
the
to
only
fear
thing
the
that I
unknown.
would pause at is, I mean, again, bunch of different people do these bracketologies. And Lenardi, I'm trying to remember where he put Mizzou last year. I think he put it as a 7 seed. But they ended up being a 6.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right? So, is there still deference that the selection committee will give to a conference like the SEC, and a team like Mizzou who beat more teams than they lost to in the SEC?
They got some
still
good wins in that. They got some pelts.
And look, again, they're not going to be a 6 like they were last year because they don't have the non-con. Like they had an awful non-con. Yeah, we know.
And the SEC is not quite what it was. I think everybody universally last year was like, yes, heap praise onto the SEC. Everybody gets credit.
But I think all of that you're talking about accounts for the 4 to 5 difference in seed line that we're talking about here with this year's Mizzou team. So yeah, I could see the selection committee giving a little more deference to a team like Missouri that, down the stretch faltered, but it was 3 quad 1 games. And it's not to excuse them away, but the losses shouldn't drag you down all that far from where you were when you started that stretch, which was about a 9 or an 8, I believe, when Mizzou beat Mississippi State that time. I think they were a 9. In a lot of bracketologies, some people probably had them as high as an 8. So if you're looking at the more optimistic side and you're probably an 8 seed at that point, well then 3 losses in quad 1 games. Do you think that should really drag you down as far as an 11? I'm not so sure, especially with what's been happening around Mizzou. So I would still probably push the button, but I don't know. Again, I feel a sense of security about it for Mizzou's sake about whether or not they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. I think they're in. So at that point, if I'm a Mizzou fan, I would hope for as high of a seed as you can get because I think you can have the security knowing that you're in.
Yeah, here's the thing you don't have to worry about anymore, being an 8 or a 9. That's not a fear. that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I get it.
So 10 or 11 would be the comfy, cozy area that you could land. And I think
those are
11 is more likely than 10, and Dayton might be more likely than just an outright 11. So,
I mean, either way, you would have to pull some big upsets. It's just it's not as favorable as what would you think? 11 versus 10? Is that the same?
Yeah. I don't think it's that different.
I'd rather have the 10.
I think that's probably true. Yeah, because I would rather face a slightly more flawed team in theory. Sometimes teams should be a 6 and they get put on the 7 line and vice versa. But I think it would give me added confidence to know Missouri wasn't even close to the bubble at the end of the day. Like, I think they personally are as of this moment. But if they get a 10, well, that proves that actually no. What they did was considered enough to where they weren't even really one of the last couple of teams being talked about, which would give me almost confidence going into whatever matchup they ended up having. But I think it's more likely that you'll be either an 11 because you're like one of the last 2 teams to get a bye, or you will be fighting for that 11. Most years, the teams in Dayton are playing for 11s. I think one year it was a 12 or something weird, but
yeah, I'm trying to remember whether they had always put it on the 11 side.
It's not like done intentionally. It's just based on where the seed line falls, right? Like,
right, yeah.
They have these teams that they know have to be in, and you've got to scrub the final at-larges against all of the auto bids to see how far up they climb. And then you've got the stray auto bid like a Gonzaga that's like, well, they're not even in this conversation. But yeah, you're just scrubbing 1 through 68 and see where the chips fall. So it doesn't have to be an 11, but most of the time is.
So, look, I think Mizzou is in. Dayton is on the table, but if you said, okay, you can push a button and Mizzou is playing in Dayton and they're playing Miami, Ohio, would you do it?
Would you press the button?
Would you press the button? Call or text us at 875-KTGR to tell us whether or not you would press the button. We'll also talk about the Chiefs. We'll pivot to some other sports other than basketball. Might even talk baseball. Wow. In March? No one cares about baseball in March. Come on.
Some people do.
That's okay.
By the way, there have been some 12s, even some 13s, and one was a 14. If I'm reading this correctly, that was
in 14.
I think that's what it says. First 4 men's results. 2012 had South Florida over Cal, and it had BYU over Iona in 2012 in that play in that first 4. And I assume that it was paired thusly because BYU probably couldn't play on a Sunday, and so they had to take BYU a little bit off of where they really would have been, which happens from time to time. But I'm digging back into the annals to try to see and remember exactly what happened with that. But I knew there had been some, like the NC State team that made a run. I think they did it from the 12, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess that's interesting. If some of these these mid-majors that are auto bids are considered to be a lot closer to worthiness than some of these bubble teams, you could see that final at-large actually drop down a little bit. Maybe it's a 12 that we're talking about. That I think that's still legal. And it maybe hasn't happened as frequently in recent years.
It can happen.
But I think it can happen, yeah.
Yeah, it can fluctuate. Just can't remember the last time that we saw that. Usually it works its way into the 11 line, but I think Mizzou's trying to avoid that as much as possible.
I'm seeing 2022 there was Indiana won that one on the 12. 2024 it was a 10, pair of 10s that the what do you call it, play-in teams were playing for. But mostly in the last 6-8 years it's been 11s, other than those couple of exceptions.
So call or text us, Mizzou fans. How do you feel about Mizzou's chances now after losing to Kentucky today? We'll talk some baseball and some Chiefs football next. You're on The Big Show.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Well, Mizzou had a short stay in the SEC tournament. 78-72, they lost to Kentucky, who was the 9 seed in the tournament. Kentucky now 2-0 in said conference tourney. Mizzou led by 1 point with 2.5 minutes to go, coming back from a 16-point deficit in the second half. Mark Mitchell, what a game, 32 points. Second consecutive game that he scored 32, matching his career high. But the Tigers bow out, and they're 20-12 overall, 10-8 in the SEC. And now no more games for them until Selection Sunday. They'll wait to see if they are part of the field of 68 for the NCAA tournament. Selection show begins Sunday at 5 p.m. Chiefs signed a free agent cornerback today, Kader Kohu, who comes over from the Miami Dolphins. He was hurt all of last season with a torn ACL, but in his first 3 NFL seasons, started 38 games, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. He joins a cornerback room for the Chiefs that lost Trent McDuffie to trade and Jalen Watson to free agency. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast from Precious Custom Exteriors. Get your very own custom P platform, mowing services, or perfectly landscaped backyard.
I'm
Tracking warm and windy weather the next few days, with temperatures in the 50s and 60s through tomorrow. A wind advisory is in effect in northern Missouri tonight for wind gusts up to 45 miles per hour. Those are mostly in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range the next few days. Saturday's still warm, up to near 70 degrees, but we will see a big cool down into Sunday with rain chances in the morning and afternoon and snow by the end of the day. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Midway Electric presents the High School Sports Power Play of the Week.
Kicks out, 3 on the way from Blanton. That rattles out. Rebound by Kritza of Rockbridge. Back they race the other way. Oh, what a pass to Timbrook, who lays it in. Boy, he fired that one coast to coast over to Timbrook, Kritza did. And quickly back-to-back buckets there.
That's the Power Play of the Week with Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. Wintertime is when your trees are barren, obviously. No leaves yet. We'll get to that very soon, but you still need to be aware of how your trees are growing during this time, especially if they're hanging over those power lines, right? That can be dangerous. And so now that there aren't leaves on the branches yet, now's a good time to get tree pruning done so that they can be safe once we see that growth back. Eric and his team at Advanced Tree Solutions, they are excellent to work with. They've come to my yard before, taken a tree out that was dead. They're honest, upfront, and trained, and they know exactly how to take care of your trees. Because, look, the power company's not going to know how to do it. Most lawn services, they don't know how to really take care of them. Eric and his team does. Go to advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. You can contact them to book for tree pruning and also look at the other services they have so that you can get ready for springtime at advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions.
In sports, there are bad calls, like wolfing down walking tacos before 9 a.m. warm-ups, discussing NIL deals with your 8U travel team, or trusting the mom who spells lose with 2 O's to order team jerseys. Yay, go Tigres. Here's a good call. Shopping at Play It Again Sports for baseball and softball season. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first, so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com. Extra savings, not extra letters.
Whoops. Hi, we're Midway Electric. And since you've got a nice large tax return this year, you've got the ability to put it towards something that lasts, like updating your bathroom with modern light fixtures or new kitchen lighting that pops. And Midway Electric is the team of pros you can trust to bring those dreams to life. From custom lighting to complete electrical upgrades, Midway Electric helps transform the spaces you use every day. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
The Como Man Show is almost here. This Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Events Center where the Boone County Fair is held. You can win prizes in the hot wing eating contest or enter to win prizes like sweet tickets to a Mizzou game, iron rocking chairs with a fire pit, Royals pub table, concert tickets, and more, with food trucks and tasty beverages available. Plus, a portion of the proceeds will be given to the VIP Veteran Pack program. General admission and VIP tickets on sale now at ComoManShow.com.
My name is Matt. We used True Sun Exteriors for a pretty big siding project for our house. We used LP Smart Side. We did all new Pella windows, new fascia, new soffits, and they did a house wrap for us. True Sun was great. They communicated well. Whenever they got very large amounts of, say, the front and the side done, it was just awesome just to kind of see just the difference and what the house looked like. True Sun wasn't the cheapest. They weren't the most expensive. We did consider multiple options, but I think at the end of the day, I'd work with True Sun. It's good to see someone's proposal being so detailed and line itemed. You know, we're protecting our investment, and we love True Sun. We love Nevada and their whole team, and I'm confident that if we ever have any issues, they'll be there as soon as they can.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
Today's business of the day is Debo Funeral Home in Fulton. Swing by tomorrow and grab yourself a free piece of pie for their Pie Day celebration.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
So lots of hoops talk today, and hey, it's expected, right? Here in this month of March, call or text us with your Mizzou March thoughts. March has not gone well once again for Mizzou this time around so far. 875 KTGR here on The Big Show. You'll hear more hoops coming up once we're done. More of the SEC tournament from the SEC Radio Network. You'll hear Georgia playing their first game. They'll take on Ole Miss, who got that upset over Texas yesterday. And then Texas A&M taking on Oklahoma in the nightcap tonight. So both those games coming up here on KTGR once we're done. And we'll see the results of that. The results of our trivia challenge. Again, you knew the answer. You looked it up. The last Mizzou men's basketball player to score 30 points in an SEC tournament game was Jordan Geist. 30 points in that game in 2019 against Georgia. That was a year that, look, Mizzou missed the tournament again that year. Not an awesome roster, but we're still able to get that one win over Georgia, I believe, in a Wednesday game. So
I think that's probably right.
It sounds like that was the case. And so Geist with 30 points in that one and needed pretty much every bit of it to get that done. That was back in 2019. But, yeah, that was the last time it happened. Kevin Purrier did it in that the famous game that we talk about.
The Commanders
game. Yeah, definitely.
Where he shared thoughts.
Yeah, that game winner at the end for Kevin Purrier. He also got to 30 points, but obviously that came before Jordan Geist did it. And then today, Mark Mitchell, 32. How about that? Still couldn't get him a win, though, man.
No, maybe he can score 32 again in an NCAA tournament game, and they can win for him that time.
Finally.
That'd be what we're looking for.
If it doesn't, then that's some sort of record. Has to be.
Probably so.
Has to be some sort of record. Guy scoring 32 straight.
It surpasses probably Josh Hubbard, if I had to guess.
I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Scoring in a loss. He knows a lot about that.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens to Mizzou on Selection Sunday. In the meantime, interesting Chiefs note. I think they needed to do this. Like, sure, you can say draft and replenish your secondary that way. But I think this is transfer portal season. Technically, if you want to equate it to college football, it's just different. You know, you go transfer portal first, and then you seed your high school class, right? Or your rookie class. And this is just the opposite directionally for that. But the same basic principle, get some starters in free agency. And the Chiefs, I think, got a guy that you can feel comfortable starting for you next year in Kader Kohu, who has started 38 games in 3 seasons, didn't play at all last year for the Dolphins because of an ACL tear before the season started. So he comes over to Kansas City. You need some sort of experience in this room when you lose Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
So,
you start there and you supplement, I think, in the draft where they'll probably be targeting secondary in general because Brian Cook is gone now as well from the safety spot. So you need at least one of these type of signings. And now I hope they target the position maybe with that 29th pick. But if not, you're going to have to do it relatively early to restock the cupboard. And again, like I would say, Andy, any round where they take a corner, you might feel somewhat decent about them being able to turn that guy into a player for him because Watson was a 7th rounder. So there's a track record here where they've had some success doing this.
Yeah. And if they're able to find those guys that can be the depth pieces, right? Because you get a front line you can trust that's been in this league before. And I think you maybe still need to do that with the edge rusher spot. I think you still got some work to do to find somebody that can be on the opposite side of George Karlaftis day one. But obviously you look at number 9 and see who's available to you. I think that's the most likely spot where you can take an edge rusher. And then, corner can be where you target at 29 and then maybe your next pick after that. This draft could be 3 straight defensive picks for the Chiefs.
And it could be a wide receiver at 9. I've seen some people mock. So like it could go a number of directions, but I think you're right. Like it would make sense to really stock up on the defense when your biggest splash, I would say, of free agency has been running back and saying that's going to be the way that we address offense. And we're going to say, show another year of growth, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, stay on the field, hopefully. And Kelsey's back. And like, that's going to kind of be how we approach it. Well, there's no way to know. That's why you may have to.
No way to know.
I think if they take a wide receiver at 9, that tells you kind of where they are with that whole thing too.
I mean,
it's not that there's
maybe
not good ones to take, but that would tell you that like with this other need of edge rusher and corner, knowing that you could use some secondary help.
I would
they go
consider
that
it
way.
anyway, honestly. Like, I would, even if Rashee Rice even if you know that he's playing a full 16 for you, I'd still think about wide receiver at 9 because you're still not sure about Xavier Worthy. And honestly, I have questions as to whether Rashee Rice is worth the second contract that he's probably going to get if you're the one to give it to him.
Well, he's not worth it because of the full package. I do think off the field dictates that he's not.
Right.
But
and I think we know the info about that to say, like, if you give him $25-30 million per season for 3 years, like, you're going to be paying for some bad years.
That's just what that guy needs is unlimited money to do stuff with.
Yeah. So again, let somebody else do that. I'm kind of out on him right now.
I think there's, and you've made this case before. I just don't think right now is the right time to trade him. There's a case to be made that if he's having a fine season on the field, but maybe the Chiefs are not, if it doesn't instantly return to Super Bowl favorites, that during the season, I would certainly say, hey, let's cash our chips out while we can on this guy, because
it's just hard to do that because the trade deadline is so early.
It's so early. They make it hard to want to trade.
Yeah.
And make those decisions in the NFL. Move it back a week.
I know. It's just, it can't have it halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chiefs making that signing reportedly today. You see more of the official signings that they were able to release earlier this morning. We'll see what more they do in free agency. Thanks for joining us today. Again, SEC Hoops action coming up next, and we'll be back tomorrow to get you set for the weekend. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car.